My name is Shakaris McHenry, and I'd like to tell you all how I stumbled upon Journey's Lutheran Special School at the time. My one and only son, Jaylyn H, was born 1 week early in October of 2005. I brought him home from the hospital overjoyed and optimistic that we were going to settle into what some deem a normal life, but it was not so. When he was 4 or 5 months old, I noticed that he absolutely hated tummy time. When he was about 8 months old, he just started to walk independently, never crawled before, none of those things. A couple of red flags there. So I became concerned. Mommy's little monster who barked at all the animals, birds, whatever it was just jumping these milestones. I noticed that around 2 years of age, Jaylyn was saying a lot fewer words than other children his age. Initially, I wrote it off as him being very timid, which he still is. And I began researching speech and development milestones and where he should be, trying to gauge where he should be at that age. I took him to his pediatrician, and I left her office with the phone number to Curative, local birth to 3 program. I made an appointment, and he was evaluated and found to have speech and learning delays. At Curative, he was taught sign language. He was enrolled in speech pathology and speech therapy. And he also received occupational therapy to develop those skills that he was lacking. During his time at Curative, he was also tested for autism and referred to genetic counselors and other doctors who agreed that he was the happiest, strangest, coolest little guy that they had ever seen. He had to undergo a couple of surgeries and sleep studies in a short span, which he did with ease. But these things were extremely difficult for me, being a younger mom. From Curative, he went on to receive an IEP at MPS and placed at Browning Elementary School to take advantage of the in-house speech pathology and occupational therapy there. The teachers at Browning were great, but they did not offer specialty classes that he needed to be on K4. So I then began my search for a new school that could cater to his needs. After another IEP and recommendation, he was placed at Parkview Elementary. While there, he was able to continue speech and occupational therapy, but at first grade, he was placed in regular ed classroom. He went to a different room each day, a couple of hours a week or whatnot for his therapy. But issues began to arise when I started to drop into his classroom unannounced on my days off, just to sit with him and see how his day was going or what it consisted of. 3 times I visited, 3 times I was disappointed. He and the other special needs children were sitting off to the side of the classroom in a world of their own, literally just passing the time away, while the other children learned. Couple this experience with the upperclassmen bullying him and other small children on the school bus, and I had reached my limit. I went back on a hunt for a school where Jaylyn could fit and thrive and not be bullied or ignored. I spent that summer leaving no rock unturned. I called the school board, went to appointments with this person and that person. I randomly visited schools and inquired about special needs programs, but none had rave reviews. So what was going to be my final meeting in deciding to homeschool Jaylyn, the special education director of MPS asked if I'd heard of Lutheran Special School. I replied, nope, I'm not Lutheran. Have no interest in sending my son to a boarding school ran by nuns. She laughed. She said, that's not that type of school. They're fairly new. They have small classes, and she laughed. Again, she told me it's not far from my home. She'd call and see if there was openings. I was very hopeful, but not so excited. I never heard of the school. I had been given many runarounds. I was exhausted. She called the next morning, and not to my surprise, she said that they were full and she could have him added to a waiting list for next year if I applied. Great, I thought. I failed my son again. His speech and education were going to suffer if I didn't find a way to teach him properly at home or find a better school, and fast. I prayed about it, but when I didn't hear back from any schools, I knew I had to do what was in the best interest of my son. But I also knew that faith and worry cannot occupy the same space. So I was going to figure this out, and we were going to be fine. I decided I was going to quit my job and find a suitable school for him, but if that was never, then so be it. He deserved a fighting chance in the most crucial years of his development. In August of 2012, I was counting down the days to put in my 2-week notice. I contacted the school board. They told me they'd mail me a packet about homeschooling. And then on the drive home from purchasing workbooks for the homeschooling experience, my phone rang. An unfamiliar but kind voice stated that she was looking for the parents of Jaylyn Holmes. "Who's calling?" I asked. She stated that her name was Mrs. Clens and that she works at Lutheran Special School and Education Services. She went on to say that she had received a call about Jaylyn and that she and Mrs. Schultz had decided that they could fill one more second grade seat, and that I had to be in her office the next morning to sign paperwork to secure his placement. As school was due to start that following week, I agreed, but I didn't say anything. I pulled my car over. I listened to her give me instructions and tell me more about the school. Tears began to well up in my eyes as I reflected on what the last few years had been like for me and Jaylyn. I refused to cry because I still didn't know much about this school, or if it was ran by nuns. But everything that she was saying sounded like exactly what I was looking for. Then questions came to my mind like, how did she hear of me? Who gave her my phone number? How did she know how badly Jaylyn needed this school? He was buckled in his booster seat in the back seat with no idea that his young life was about to change for the better. I didn't even know where the school was located, but I knew that my son was going where he can receive learning that fit his uniqueness. He was going to a school where he wouldn't be punished for not being able to remember a 7-digit lunch ID number. He was going to a school where he was not pushed into a corner and ignored until the closing bell rang. He was going where the teachings of Christ were interwoven into a curriculum that suited him and his learning style. He was going where teachers cared like his own parents and understood their mission and calling. While he has been at Journeys, he has truly embraced what my husband and I call his servant spirit. It got him in trouble at other schools, but at Lutheran Special School or now Journeys, he's fine. Teachers here allow him to help others, be it packing meals for the homeless or helping fellow students clean a mess. The different field trips and art and Christmas programs and Title I reading and art therapies and all of these things, he gets to meet people, visit places, and have experiences that he probably never see otherwise. He gets continuous help in all subjects. His teachers and principal are always a call or text away. It's paid, speed dial. And the staff and the time that they take with individualized learning plans and quarterly evaluations keep parents in the loop and keep students on track. This place is awesome. I'm here this evening because someone, somewhere, thought enough of little old me and little shy Jaylyn to say, we have one seat left. Please take it. Let us help you help him. I will forever be grateful to the staff and the donors of LSSES and Journeys. Only God truly knows where I would be if it were not for that phone call that I received on that day, followed by the care, dedication, and love of the people at this school. Thank each and every one of you from the deepest part of my heart, and God's continued blessings on Journeys, the students, and the staff. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Now it's time to start our live auction, and in a little while we are going to play Heads or Tails.